The first kind of negotiation is based on interest, self-interest. Self-interest based negotiation. What am I trying to do in this kind of negotiation? I'm trying to maximize my perceived payoff. I'm trying to maximize my benefit. Here am I, an employer or an employee, and I'm thinking of myself as totally separate from the other party, and I'm saying that there is something to be had for which both parties are vying, and only one party can get it. I want to be the one who can get it. Have you heard of something called a zero-sum game? What is a zero-sum game? A zero-sum game is a game in which if I win one unit, then the other party loses one unit. So the total payoff is always zero. I get one and you lose one. This is a zero-sum game. A self-interest based negotiation is always a zero-sum game, and hence it is always violent. It says that I get something only if the other party loses something. So I'm trying to snatch something away from you, and you are trying to snatch something away from me. It is as if there is a limited resource for which both the parties are struggling, competing. Are you getting it? This is commonly the type of negotiation that we witness, not only between an employer and an employee, but also between a person and another person. And the persons could be anybody. A husband and a wife, a father and a son, a mother and a daughter. Yes, a teacher and a student, obviously. A seller and a buyer. You want to sell it to me for 30 rupees. If I get it for 25, then I gain 5 rupees extra. But you lose 5 rupees. So the sum is 0. And hence there is violence. Hence there is a lot of haggling. Have you seen the kind of stuff that happens in a sabzi mandi? Bargaining. Right? This is, as we said, self-interest based negotiation. We can give another more appropriate name to it. This is ego based negotiation. In what sense is it ego based negotiation? I am perceiving myself as distinct from you, and ego is separation. Ego says, I am this and I am not this. Ego thrives on that. Ego thrives on creating a boundary. This kind of negotiation exists when boundaries are there. So I am happy that I have gained 5 rupees, and I do not bother that you have lost 5 rupees. I want to maximize my pleasure. What happens to you, I do not care. And I care, if at all I care only to the extent to which your happiness has a bearing on my happiness. You see, if I know that if you become too unhappy, you will leave me, then I'll not make you too happy. Then I'll not make you too unhappy. But by not making you too unhappy, whose interest am I serving? Yours or mine? I know that if I ask for too high a price, the customer will go away. So I'll not ask for a very heavy price. If I'm not asking for a very heavy price, is it because I love the customer? It is in my own self-interest to not ask for too much, otherwise the customer will go away. So at the end of the day, whose interest is paramount? My own. This is ego. This is self-serving, self-centered ego. And this is the kind of negotiation that we usually see. The world is running on this kind of negotiations. And hence our world is a very violent place. Be it a workplace, be it a public place, or be it our homes, our offices, our courts, our parliaments, our playgrounds. They are all very violent. They are all very, very violent. Our sports are violent. If one team has to win, the other team must lose. Have you ever seen a game in which both parties win? So obviously, our sports are teaching us to compete and become violent. Compete and become violent. And that is also what our education is teaching us. That there are only 100 seats and 10,000 people are vying for them. So if you get selected, then the other will not get selected. You have occupied a seat. Either I get that seat or you get that seat. Both of us cannot get a single seat. So again, zero something. All right. This we understand, negotiation. Simple. Maximization of gratification. Maximization of pleasure. Maximization of self-interest. This is the common type of negotiation. However, there is another type of negotiation as well. After all, the word negotiate simply means to make your way through. You know, the word negotiate, what it means? It means making a way. It means charting a course. There can be another type of negotiation, another way of working, in which you are still talking. You still want to convince him. But all this is not happening for your petty gains. All this is not to serve your self-interest. It is in some other direction. You are not identified so closely with your limited self that you are not looking at all at the other. You are looking at yourself, all right, whatever you call as yourself, but you are also looking at a bigger picture. You want to do good to yourself, but at the same time you don't want to harm the other. At the same time you don't want to harm the other. In this kind of negotiation, another situation emerges where the mind works in such a creative way that you gain as well as the other party also gains. The mind is not really violent anymore. The mind says, there is this piece of bread. It is not necessary that either I will have it or you will have it. Can we find out a way in which we both may not only share this, but also use this in a way which enhances the interests of both of us, which satisfies both of us. It is not just a simple sharing. It's a creative movement ahead. It is not that you share the bread 50-50. I'm not talking of that. This is when you are not violent. This is when you are not hell bent upon destroying the other. This is when you are not saying that nobody else counts, only I count, and my to hell with the other. Right? Then a creative movement happens in which both parties benefit, and it is no longer a zero-sum game. I gain something and you too gain something. Then this negotiation is not a conflict. Then this negotiation is a moving together. The first kind of negotiation is a head-on conflict like this. I want to go in this way and you want to go this way, and we both are in conflict. And whosoever is more powerful will have his way. If I am more powerful, the negotiation will move this way. If you are more powerful, the negotiation will move this way. In the second kind of negotiation, you are not colliding head-on. You are saying, all right, the two of us, let us move together and find out what can be done. We are moving together. We are not moving into each other, not bumping into each other. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? Yes. And we'll find out a way. We'll find out a way that is for common good. Not that I am giving up on my interest, but at the same time, I am not oblivious to your interests. Right? So we are walking together like partners. This negotiation has a certain beauty. This negotiation is not harmful to anybody. In this negotiation, you don't want to apply pressure on the other person. Instead, you want to find out the common areas where you can agree. You want to think hard. You want to come up with innovative solutions. You want to say, can there be a way? Can there be a way that has not been thought of till now? And there must be a way. There must be a way. Yes? This is the second type of negotiation. The story does not end here. The story does not end here. There is a third type of interaction between two human beings, which I will not want to call as negotiation, yet it is an interaction. A negotiation is an interaction, right? We said at most of the times, most of the human beings deal with each other in a self-centered way. The first kind of negotiation, right? Sometimes it happens that another kind of negotiation takes place, we said, in which people want to move together and not necessarily harm each other. And rarely between two human beings or between any two beings, a third event happens. That event is called love. In first kind of negotiation, you say, I want to look only at my interest. In the second kind of negotiation, you say, I want to look at my interest and your interest. And in this third kind of interaction, you say, I am not even looking at my interest, only your interest is important. This is the highest kind of negotiation, if you want to call it a negotiation. The first one says, only me. The second one says, me as well as you. The third one says, I am not there and I do not matter. Only you. Only you. And this is a rare happening, absolutely rare happening. But when this happens, it's a flowering. And the lovely smell spreads far and wide. It inspires so many others. It calms down the entire world. Those who look at it are amazed. Can something like this happen? We always thought that the world must be self-centric. Is it possible for this third thing to happen? Where I am saying it does not matter what is happening to me. It does not matter how many rupees I am losing. It does not matter what is happening to my comfort. Please, your welfare is important. And your welfare is not important because you are my wife or my son or my friend or my countryman. Your welfare is important just because you are you. I'm not imposing any conditions. I'm not giving you money because you are my daughter. It's an unconditional, unreasonable love. And this can happen only when, remember, this can happen only when you are so absolutely full within yourself that howsoever much you give to others, your own fullness remains full. You are so confident, so absolutely sure that it doesn't matter how much I am expending, how much I am giving away. I still have enough. Nothing will happen to me. It's like a candle lighting another candle. When a candle lights another candle, what happens to the light of the first candle? Does it get diminished? This is this third kind of negotiation. I have so much, I can keep giving and keep giving, and I'll not reduce. This is possible only when you first discover how much you have. This is possible only when you first discover how much you have. This is possible only when you first discover what you are. And then this third interaction, this most beautiful event in life can happen. Once you know who you are, then you become capable of love. This is the real negotiation. Unfortunately, no MBA course teaches this. They teach you mostly the first kind and sometimes the second kind. The real thing they touch not. And if you talk of this kind of interaction to those who teach you business, they'll say this is foolhardy. How can you just keep giving without expecting anything in return? Are you mad? You'll go bankrupt. You'll be left with nothing. This is how a businessman thinks. Existence does not take it this way. Existence says the more you give, the more you will have. The businessman says the more you give, the less you have. Existence says the more you give, the more you have. But before you give, you have to first find it. How can you give without finding? Can you give without finding? Now, the person who engages in the first kind of negotiation and the person who engages in the third kind of negotiation are two opposite beings. The first one is saying, I am hungry, I don't have anything. want more and more. He is like a beggar in front of entire existence. He wants to snatch things away, a little bit from you, a little bit from you, a little bit from... That's his negotiation, his brand of living. The first kind of person. And the third person, he says what? I am the king of kings. I have everything. The first one says, I am a beggar. He may have millions and billions, but he still feels he's a beggar. And the proof is that he still wants more. See, who is a beggar? The one who says, I want more is a beggar. And this first person keeps on wanting more and more. Is that not so? In spite of his billions, he is still asking for a little more. Can I have a little more, please, please? That's what a beggar does. Right? Can I have a little more? 2 rupees. This third one says, all right, take it away. Take it away. Take it away. I'm blowing it away with both hands. I don't care. I have found out something that is so immense, so overflowing, that however much I distribute, it remains as much, even increases. Yes. So don't be too bothered about what the world is doing. Don't think that the relationship of man and man must be based on this kind of haggling and bargaining and cutting of corners. These are pretty pathetic examples. Do not go by them. Another kind of living is possible. And everywhere. Even in business, this is possible. Obviously, it must happen at homes. But even in business, it is possible. In every sphere of life, it is possible. It depends upon you. If you are the third kind of man, you will deal in the third kind of way. Yes? Right? All right.